Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForrest. My understanding is, unfortunately, yesterday we had some video difficulties, technical difficulties, if you will, and might have blown away our discussion about surviving a series of miracles in that Cincinnati Bengals game against the Dallas Cowboys, where it looked like you were finished. Kaputski, time to start gargling with ether, as the Cincinnati Bengals appear to be in dire straits, looking like they had absolutely no chance to cover the point spread. Whether you had it at 4.5, 5, 5 and a hook, didn't matter. I was in with a little wager at 5.5 points. And comes down to the final couple of minutes. Cincinnati has to punt the football away. And you're calling for Al Michaels to be back at Lake Placid there with the 1980 U.S. Olympic team and a bunch of college scrubs going against the almighty professionals from the Soviet Union, the USSR. Do you believe in miracles? I don't even know if I could have imagined that something like this would happen. The block punt muffed Leon Lett 2.0. And Cincinnati gets the ball. You're still thinking you're finished, that you're fucked, because what's Cincinnati going to do? They're going to evaporate the rest of the time on the clock, maybe grind out 10 or 15 yards, kick the game-winning field goal. They walk off winners. You go out a loser. And, of course, we all saw what happened. Jamar Chase, who had a sensational game, ends up catching a touchdown pass from Joe Burrow where he runs a little bit of an out pattern, spins to the inside, races into the end zone. Now it's looking impossible for Dallas to come back with the limited time that was left. And even though they had their 3 timeouts, you couldn't see as porous, as poor, as ugly as the Cincinnati defense has been across the year, where they're scoring 30 points a game and going 1-6 in games where they've had 30 or more points. You're thinking it's not going to happen, that Dallas is not going to find its way into the end zone, and we all get to enjoy the exasperation of one Jerry Jones after the game. That's probably the best part of watching Dallas Cowboys football, watching Jerry in agony there, trying to explain away the inexplicable. But hopefully you made a score on that. That was one of our recommendations, and I know that the gentleman who's going to join us here, as he does every Wednesday, what was also sweating these details, much like that guy that had the $3.1 million in a wager on the money line with the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday against Carolina, only to have to, you would have thought that this guy would have expired as he's watching what appeared to be a possible game-winning touchdown throw, just barely grazed the ground. Carolina ended up throwing in futility a 4th down pass, and the man managed to collect 400,000 or 500,000 on his $3.1 million wager. If you are betting on these games, and Troy West needed this game last night to complete a 2-1 week, his usual 2-1 MO. He either goes 3-0, 2-1 with consistency all season long. One of the reasons that we love him. But if you are betting these games, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform. And your number one source, people, for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, the NHL, UFC, the big fights that are on tap. Head to BetOnline today, and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV, all capitals, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline. The game starts here. Are you playing the national anthem in the background because we won that thing with the Cincinnati Bengals? We welcome
Yes,
Charlie,
sir.
Seattle Washington
Unbelievable.
show.
Unbelievable. I am at the cigar lounge. You have to smoke a cigar after that one. I think I'm on cigar number 8 after that game. You know what's
I was
funny?
on
People,
joint number 8 during that game. I went,
I don't blame you. You know,
yeah.
it's one of those ones where, yeah, people, oh, you got lucky, lucky. You know how many times I get fucked on that situation? So it felt good to be on the other side of that one.
Rare. It's almost like getting a victory on a steward's inquiry, where if you took the lifetime total of episodes where there was an inquiry sign, it starts flashing. You've already got the winner across the wire, or maybe your horse did finish second, and the stewards are now going to take a look at a replay to see if anything unusual went on and illegal against the rules in the stretch. And these are arbitrary, subjective calls. I mean, it's worse than the 3 boxing officials that used to work Las Vegas there. Dwayne Ford, Jerry Roth, and Chuck Giampa, where you're thinking, why not just get Helen Keller, Jose Feliciano, and Ray Charles to score the bout. They make some weird decisions, and it's rare that I would benefit from that. But we finally did. We were both on the same page, yelling and screaming. And you got home another 2 in 1 week, so congratulations on that. And I know you've been on fire with your other selections because I keep seeing the testimonials. You're like the Benny Hinn of betting, man. People come to you when they need some kind of revival, and you've been doing that for people. So congratulations on the hot run.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, Depot, you follow sports like I do, and I like to tell people there's a lot of handicappers out there. They do this as a side hustle, right? It's kind of a fun little gimmick hobby. This is all we do. This is all I do. I wake up and it's sports, sports, sports. It's studying the lines, it's studying the analytics, studying line movement. So if I can't hit above 60% when this is all I do, 12 hours a day, then I should probably go back to school. But no, right now it's been good. We stub our toe. We had some bad days last week. There's no doubt about it. But we had a really nice Saturday, Sunday, and I'll tell you what, Defo, I absolutely love bowl season. Bowl season, I truly, truly believe there's so much money to be made. You've got coaches on the hot seat, interim coaches, guys entering the transfer portal. There's so much that you really need to dive into, and that's where handicappers come in play.
Who's playing and who's not playing? What would be the key for me? Uh,
Yes, sir.
You have the Pop Tarts Bowl, the very distinguished Pop Tarts Bowl coming up. Actually, two good teams in there are University of Miami and Iowa State. And Miami favored by 1 point, but is Cam Ward going to play? I mean, he'd be coming out of the Heisman ceremony. I don't think he's going to win it this year because it looks like that is going to go to Travis Hunter of Colorado. Maybe Genty of Boise State has a shot. I think the two quarterbacks probably are going to finish a distant third and fourth. But what incentive would there be for Cam Ward, unless there's some contingency, some clause in his NIL agreement that he has to play in these bowl games? I can't imagine that you're going to see a lot of these star performers that are ticketed for the NFL playing it, and having that information would be essential in making any kind of reasonable wager.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I don't think he will play. And by the way, what a debacle! I think not by the playoff committee, but just the people that put together these bowl games. I was looking at it. It's like, who wants to watch Alabama, Michigan, right? I would have loved to have seen Alabama, Miami, or Miami, Colorado. Then maybe you get a guy like Cam Ward going. You know what? I want to go up against Shadir. I want to show people that I'm better than that guy because he knows. Shadir's going to play. Dion's come out publicly and said that. So I think they made a big mistake by because, like you said, Iowa State, yeah, good football team, not very sexy, not going to get a lot of eyes on that game. I think whoever makes the committee did a really poor job putting together the matchups. Throw Iowa State against Michigan, right? I would have loved to seen Miami go neck and neck with Jalen Monroe versus Cam Ward. Maybe you've got a headline there, and Cam Ward says, you know what, I'm going to play just for that reason. But now, yeah, like you said, you really didn't give him any reason to play. I don't expect him to play.
Yeah, and that would be something that you would definitely have to look into, dive into as heavily as you could. Inside information would be the name of the game here to figure out who is going to be going and who's not. You wouldn't want to risk injury. There's actually a big history there going way back to when the Hurricanes were just at the very beginning of their heyday. And there was a running back named Melvin Bratton got hurt in the Orange Bowl game that year. He was running mate with Alonzo Highsmith, the great Alonzo Highsmith, and he hurts his knee and is never the same. He ended up dropping from a certain first round pick to a third round pick, and that's I think a time where people started looking and saying, "Well, wait a minute, what the hell am I going out there for?" Especially if it's a meaningless ball that has no impact on a national championship. So that'll be something to study. The first round of playoff games, I'm looking at the ACC getting the old Rodney Dangerfield treatment. No respect whatsoever, or so it seems, because you have SMU as an 8.5 point dog to Penn State. Some people think that Penn State has kind of a magic carpet ride to get to the championship game, although they do have to overcome the James Franklin factor. And then Clemson is getting 11.5 from Texas. Did you have any early opinions about the way these four games were handicapped by the bookies?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm not going to give Clemson a whole lot of respect, but I will tell you, I was absolutely shocked when I saw that SMU line. I saw it as high as 9 points yesterday, and my thought was, if Penn State was going to go into SMU, are you telling me that Penn State would be favored by 3 or 4 points in SMU? There's no way. So are they really getting 7, 8, 9 points for being at home? SMU is a pretty damn good football team. They're well coached. They can run. They play defense. Yes, they slipped up in that ACC title game. I get it, but this is still a damn good football team. I like SMU a lot getting the points. I'm not going to say they win that game, but that to me's got 28-24 written all over it. I like SMU early in the points. To that other game, Texas is a team that I've got winning the whole thing. And they're minus, I think, what, 10 or 11 at home
Yes.
against Clemson. I'm not a big. Dabo Sweeney's got a good team this year. I've liked what he's done. They've done a really good job, but I don't see that team going into Texas and competing. Texas is a really good football team. Yes, they did not look great against Georgia, but Quinn Ewers and Sarkisian will be ready to go. I like Texas 35-17 in that one.
All right, the brackets and the field of 12 came together since our last program here on Bury Your Bookie. Our last time together came out on Sunday. Your overall impression of what transpired there?
Comical, comical, absolutely comical. I'm an Oregon Duck hater, but how do you take if you look at Oregon Ducks, the number one seeded team, undefeated, well deserved, played a pretty damn tough schedule, and they're going to get the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee. They might be favored by maybe a field goal in that game, maybe 3 or 4 points, and then if they win that game, they're likely to get Texas, and then if they win that game, they'll get Georgia likely. But then, like you said, with the news to Carson Beck, that affects that. But Oregon got rewarded to me the way that they seeded Boise State, Arizona State, and another team with the bye. Oregon, they did not give justice at all. I thought they should have reseeded the 5 through 12. Oregon got a really raw deal. I think it's a debacle, to be honest with you. I was listening to Joel Klatt the other day, and it just literally they're going to face the three highly rated teams to win the whole deal. Oregon's gonna have to win all three of those games. It's gonna be tough to do.
And meanwhile, Penn State, which I expect to fail somewhere along the way, has, as we said, kind of an easy
Correct.
path there, at least according to statistics and all kinds of data that you could crunch into, and the opinion of many, as they open up with SMU, who you like, but nonetheless, that they're heavy favorites there, and then they get Boise State in the next round.
Yep.
So a much easier path to win the national, or possibly win the national championship. All right, so an outright joke there from the committee. Did you believe that anybody got hosed? In,
I don't think. I think they got it right. I think the format's flawed. I know they're already looking at the 14 team for 2026. I think that obviously needs to happen. Yeah, you could make arguments with Alabama, but I thought with 3 losses that was unfair. So I don't think anybody truly got hosed. I think the way that they got it, they got 12 of the better teams. Um, I'm not a believer in Boise State. If you go look at that strength of schedule, other than the Oregon game, who they lost to, I know it was close. I get it, but I don't think you get points for a close loss. They didn't play anybody. I mean, the Mountain West was atrocious this year. So I would like to see something where maybe a Boise State almost plays like an Alabama in a play-in game, and the winner of that goes in, right? I almost think you need like how the NCAA tournament does at March Madness, where you get these bubble teams and go, you know what, let's do a play-in game and see who deserves it. I think something needs to change because you can't. Arizona State, tip my cap to them, but you can't make the argument to me that Boise State is a top 10 team in the country. I just don't see it.
And then the other problem, though, that you have with a playing game possibility, it's one thing in basketball. It's hard to add extra games to the schedule in football and justify that with the perils that these players face game in and game out. And then you start adding extra games in, and it becomes more and more like you're watching the NFL, and very, very tough to go ahead and justify that. But yeah, probably happened before. Well, maybe before your lifetime concludes. I don't know. I'm getting pretty close to the door there, so I may not ever see something like that transpire. All right, we want to look at some games this week for the fans out there. Troy West been killing it all season long, and of course we'll get you in touch with the information you need to follow all of his plays and the various programs that he has for the bettors out there. But I know you wanted to dive into some NFL competition this week, so let's get it rolling.
Yeah, we're going to do 3 NFL games for you guys this week. Number one, Carolina minus 2.5. This line has since moved from 1 to 2.5. Dallas Cowboys coming off the short week. I really, really, really like Carolina in this one. Hey, I'd like Carolina a lot in this one. They're just the better football team right now. Dallas, again, off that debacle. They've had some injuries. Give me Carolina minus 2.5 against the Dallas Cowboys. I just think Carolina's playing really good football. If you look at their last few weeks, Bryce Young playing great ball. Give me Carolina in that one. I like that game a lot. And then I'm going to Buffalo. Buffalo is at Detroit. Buffalo is getting 2.5 points. Give me the Bills. They're not losing 2 games in a row. The Detroit Lions are banged up. I know they've still played great football, but give me Josh Allen and the Bills. Again, this to me is one of the better teams. 6 touchdowns last week for Josh Allen. Give me Buffalo. I would buy that up to 3.5. Buffalo is plus 2.5. I would buy that up to 3.5. But give me the Bills in that one. Those 2 games I really, really like. And then Defo, call
Yeah,
me crazy. You're gonna
I'm
laugh
taking
at
them good.
this one. You're gonna laugh
Yep.
at this one. You can laugh all you want. I'm taking the Jets minus 3.5. I would buy this to 2.5. They're at the Jaguars. The Jets. I, I don't even know how to explain it. They're still healthy. Aaron Rodgers looked a little bit better against Miami. They're still playing to win football games. Give me the Jets against a really bad Jacksonville team with Mac Jones under center. I know they got the win last week against Tennessee, but that's a really bad Jags team. The Jets go in there, they take care of Jacksonville. Again, I know officially some of the viewers, you can't necessarily buy points, but when you have those 2.5, 3.5 numbers, I like to buy it. So I would buy the Jets down to 2.5, and I would buy the Bills up to 3.5. And those would be my 3 picks this week.
All right, going with the Carolina Panthers, who have shown signs of life of late for sure, and they had that. I mean, the $3.1 million bet working, and the one guy, and all of a sudden, he had to be literally like shitting in his pants as he watches Bryce Young lead the team down the field and nearly score that touchdown. That would have put him away. Kind of odd. We were talking about it yesterday with Mike Jones. There was a guy used to circulate at Santa Anita, known as the Phantom Plunger, and he was made legendary by the great handicapper and writer for the L.A. Herald Examiner at the time, which was kind of a degenerate newspaper, very much leaning towards odds and racing results and picks. And they called him the Phantom Plunger. So he would come in and put $100,000 to show on horses that looked like an absolute cinch. And of course, once he got tapped on one of those bets, where and I was there that day when he lost 100 grand in a show pull on a horse that was in a 4 horse photo finish, ended up fourth, a horse called Lemhi Gold. You now have to win your next 20 bets to get even. So, not and risking $100,000 at a pop. So, yeah, I mean, taking really short odds is rough. The Panthers did manage to get this guy the 480,000 he had, but he was laying essentially six to
I
one
saw that.
on a three point
Unbelievable.
$1 million bet. I mean, holy Mattress Mac. I mean, at least Mattress Mac was doing it so he could compensate for whatever furniture he had to give away. So he couldn't lose either way. This guy was just losing his ass. And 3.1 million to win 500,000. I'm not sure. Sounds like our ventures into the stock market,
No
Troy
lie.
West. Yeah. And you're always having to justify it. I mean, the people you stop taking your friends' calls that you recommended these stocks to. All right, the game that stood out to me a little bit, and this line jumped significantly, especially after last night, was the Bengals and the Titans. I think the Titans are awful. I mean, they did lose to Jacksonville, the backup quarterback, and the Bengals are very capable of putting up 30, 35 points. I don't think the Titans can go toe to toe with a team like that. So even though they're coming off a short week and going on the road, they've been very good on the road against the spread this year, even though they haven't been very good record wise overall at 5-8. And so I thought that was a good play. And obviously, I was not alone because that line went from, I saw it at 3 to start out the week, and now it's 5 points. But I'm thinking the Bengals probably are able to pull this one off, and so that would be one of my recommendations as well. All right, and that's an interesting play that you like the Bills on the road against the Lions. See, you're a guy with a pretty big brass pair if you're going to go against the Lions at this point in the season. But they seem to be coming back to the pack a little bit.
I'm really curious if we're going to see another 44-42 football game. I mean, I was laughing at that Rams Bills game because I don't think you could set that line high enough. And
No.
here we are again. I don't think you can set this line high enough. I think it will be a shootout. I think it will be a really good football game. But in the end, I think the Bills, I think on paper, the Bills are right there with the Lions, and the Lions are extremely banged up right now, especially on the defensive side of the football. So if I can get a field goal and a hook, I'll take the Bills.
All right, sounds good. Troy West on top of 3 NFL games, and we do have the Thursday night game coming up tomorrow night, and that features the 49ers, who have been accorded a lot of dignity by the bookies this year, even though they're having a wildly subpar season. Seemed to maybe bounce back a little bit last week, but they are favored at home by now, what, 2.5 against the Rams, who have been the darlings of a lot of bettors so far this year, getting a lot of respect with Sean McVay and company. All right, if people aren't betting the games, it always is good to get some. As you said, you have a team out there that's working on this stuff all the time. You're not just flipping a coin and going or giving half the people that subscribe to your service one side and the other half the other. So you always come out a winner. So how do people get in touch with you, and how can they get your information?
Yeah, the best place is Instagram. It's Troy West. You can shoot me a direct message there. We're happy to help you out. And then the website is troywins.com. Next time I see you, Depot, I'll have to come and take a look. We just launched our book. Our book is fully published now. It's called The Winning Edge, How to Master Sports Betting. It's a great book if you're a beginning sports bettor out there to take a look. The website is troywins.com. You get a copy of that book on there. It's free on Kindle. Again, troywins.com, the website, and the Instagram is It's Troy West.
All right, what's your cigar brand in case we have to send you a box for Christmas?
We're doing Olivia V's right now.
All right.
Olivia V's. It's a good smoke. I highly recommend it.
Do they sell Perdomos out there? Have you ever
They,
seen it?
oh yeah, this is
Oh, yeah.
this lounge is actually this lounge. We get a lot of our stuff from the Dominican out here. This is one of the better cigar lounges in the state, if not the best.
Cuban seed
Yeah,
tobacco grown in Nicaragua. I did a lot of
remember that.
endorsements for Perdomo cigars. Nick Perdomo started this thing.
They're here. I'll send you the collection here in a minute, Defo. I'll send you a
Yeah.
picture.
He was rolling cigars out of the trunk of his car at one point, then became one of the leading cigar makers in the world. So he's
Love
got a
that.
great story, great backstory. I got that story on a red-eye flight home from Las Vegas one day, many years ago, when I was out there as a degenerate gambler, and he naturally was building a multi-million-dollar business as he was at some cigar convention. All right, light one up after all of these wins. Troy West, thanks so much for being with us all the way out in Seattle, Washington. Thanks so much for joining us here on Bury Your Bookie, my friend.
Thank you, Defo. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Troy West, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we will join you tomorrow. We're going to come back again with Mike Jones. He joined us on Tuesday, although my understanding is that show kind of got diced up a little bit. So we'll get some selections from Mike Jones. Friday, the professor bounced back nicely with a 4-1 week on college football and seems very confident. Usually dynamite on the inside information as to who's playing and who's not. During a bowl season, has always been very successful during a bowl season. So he'll join us here on Bury Your Bookie on Friday. For Troy West, the people at No Filter, Greenlight Ventures, and of course, Bet Online. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow with the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.